Today we'll be discussing Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I haven't done a review about the Amazing Spider-Man movie yet, the first one, but I plan to do that in the near future. But I just watched The Amazing Spider-Man 2 this weekend, and I kind of wanted to discuss it with you guys and kind of go through some of my thoughts about the film. Spoiler warning, there will be some spoilers in this video, so if you have not seen the film yet, go ahead and watch it. It's a great film. And without further ado, we're going to go into the in-depth of this movie. So Andrew Garfield stars Peter Parker, who we saw in The Amazing Spider-Man, who gained the powers of a spider, defeated the lizard, and fell in love with Emma Stone's character, Gwen Stacy. However, at the end of Amazing Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy's father dies to the lizard, and that leaves Peter watching his girlfriend's father die, and Gwen Stacy's father's final wish was that Peter would not let Gwen Stacy get involved in his crime fighting. Now, Gwen Stacy's dad understood that Peter was needed, but he didn't want his daughter getting in the way, like any father would. Now, at the end of Amazing Spider-Man, of course, you have Peter Parker saying, you know what, I put Gwen Stacy's feelings, I don't want to hurt her, so he says, you know what, I'm going to still hang around her. And he does, but he is running into the feeling of what happens if what happened to her, father, happens to her.
Every day, I wake up knowing that the more people I try to save, the more enemies I will make.
And that is a legitimate excuse. I mean, he has a serious concern. He watched somebody that was one of his loved one die. And he doesn't want that to happen to somebody that he loves. He wants to protect her, but at the same time, he also wants to have a relationship with her. While he is dealing with that and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about that, these mysterious villains just start showing up out of anywhere. First, he has a terrorist who's trying to steal a dangerous chemical. I don't know exactly what to call it. But you have that person who goes on to be the Rhino. And then you meet Jamie Foxx's character, who is going to become the Electro. And he has to deal with all of that. He has to somehow combat the Electro. At the same time, he's got all kinds of stuff going on. And this is more than any teenager should have to go through. But he has made the choice as becoming Spider-Man. He has made the choice to defend his hometown and defend the area, because that is what a good hero does.
This is bigger than you, Peter.
I made a choice. This is my path.
And while he is busy fighting Electro and the Rhino and all these other villains and crooks, he also is he notices that his best friend is dying. Harry Osborn, one of his closest friends, he's a billionaire, he's a big owner of a company, and he has this goblin disease where it's hereditary, which all his family gets. And he believes that the only way to cure himself is through Spider-Man's blood. Now, of course, Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, doesn't want to necessarily give him his blood because he doesn't know what it could do to him. It could save him, on one hand. On the other hand, it may do something worse. It could kill him, or it could turn him into some kind of monster, which ends up it does turn him into the Green Goblin.
Peter Parker, Harry Osborn. You're gonna want to see this. Oscorp. Get you under surveillance. Why? Isn't that the question of the day?
It is very interesting and very complex on how much goes into this movie, because it isn't focusing on Spider-Man beating Electro or beating the Green Goblin or trying to figure out exactly what he has to do with Gwen Stacy. He's doing all of those at once, and it really puts a lot of pressure on Peter Parker, who has his own agendas as well. He wants to figure out exactly why his parents ditched him and left him, and he wants to know the truth. So that ties into everything. I'm not going to go into much more of the details in this review because the point of this is to explain that's what happens in this film, and I wanted to go a little bit into detail of why I think this is a good Spider-Man film. Now, you have the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. The best of those was definitely Spider-Man 2. That was really great. This film was better than the first one for The Amazing Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield deserves Amazing Spider-Man 3, and I do believe that Andrew Garfield goes through the most emotional, and he has the most complex storyline of any live-action Spider-Man that we've seen to date. And I'm going to explain why, but I'm going to hold that off for just 1 second. I want to explain a little bit about the villains. Now, normally villains in the original Spider-Man, they just were pure evil. Some of them weren't, some of them had character, but in Amazing Spider-Man 2, yes, the Rhino is pure evil. He just wants to cause destruction. But Electro doesn't start off as a villain. He just wanted to be seen. He's just a nobody who wants to be a somebody. However, he eventually gets consumed with energy and consumed with the power, and then he wanting to be this lowercase g god. And then you have Harry Osborn, who turns into the Green Goblin, when he didn't want to. He was trying to find a solution, but Peter Parker wasn't willing to try to help him because he was too worried. Which, I mean, both had legitimate reasons, but all these villains actually have parts of them that make them better villains because they actually have character. So it was a great part of the film. I also enjoyed seeing that Gwen Stacy, she wasn't a damsel in distress as Kristen Dunst's Mary Jane was in the Tobey Maguire series. She fended for herself, and it wasn't all like, she wanted to help Peter. She wanted to be there for him, be a supportive girlfriend, and help him save the day, which in the end cost her her life. Now, that brings me to why is Andrew Garfield's the most complex, the most crushing, and the most sad story. People probably are gonna comment about this. Tom Holland had the worst. He completely forgot, everybody in the world forgot who he was. Tobey Maguire, he had the best ending. He didn't really have anything. Apparently, in No Way Home, we learned that he and Mary Jane worked it out. So Tobey Maguire is outside of this. He, as far as we know, lived a happy life. Maybe he got stabbed by the Green Goblin, had to return with that and heal from that, but that's it. Tom Holland's been forgotten by everyone he knows. Nobody knows he exists. That is terrible. But that is nowhere as terrible as losing the one you love dearest to the point where you can't get them back. Now, that is just crushing. And the interesting thing, though, about Andrew Garfield and his Spider-Man, I mean, yes, as Peter Parker, he was crushed. He lost Gwen Stacy, he lost the love of his life, and he was willing to go to London with her and follow her because he said, "You are my path, I want to follow you." She died, so it's like he lost his path. However, despite that, he may have mourned for a little bit. The movie hinted that he kind of disappeared for a little bit, but he returned. And this is what makes Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man the best. The film shows that heroes may lose people and the things that they love and the people that they love, but they can never stop doing what's right. No matter the cost, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker goes through the most loss of any portrayal of a live-action Peter Parker since he lost the love of his life, Gwen Stacy. However, he did not let it stop him from doing what is right. It would have been easy for him just to hang up the red and blue suit and just mourn in grief, but instead, he realized that Gwen Stacy would have wanted him to continue to help others and save them. And that's what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. And your actions have consequences, good and bad. And sometimes things don't always go the way they should. I don't think anybody walked into The Amazing Spider-Man 2 thinking that Gwen Stacy was going to die. But this film made it so realistic. I mean, he didn't even get one last goodbye to her. When she fell, she was out. She died. She did not come back for any second. It was very realistic. Very actually believable. Tobey Maguire's, it was kind of believable. Tom Holland's, no. I mean, we're a little too far in advance for space magic and all that stuff. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is definitely down to the core. So that's just what I thought about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hope to do The Amazing Spider-Man in the upcoming weeks. Let me know if you guys liked this video. Leave a like and a comment, and if you enjoy this type of content, subscribe. It really helps us out. And with all of that, I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, and that we see you again soon. Have a good one.